There it is.
There it is.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, everyone, everywhere, depending on where and when you are joining us. Well, I don't know what actually doing outside because I have not been outside, but I hear a very, very strong wind. So I know that it is very windy, and I've gotten some little bit of sun coming in today. But what's it looking like outside your door? We are in the month of November and we are doing our stew, STTEW. Previously, we've done stem, but this is our stew. This is our pot where we make our own soup. And today we are going to be discussing energy. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to my co-host, Professor Niasan. How are you this afternoon? And what's it looking like in your neck of the woods?
Fine, fine, fine. Thank you. Windy, cold, and well, what everything else. But we are making sure that we keep our heads above the water. That said, welcome. I know you are kind of under the weather, but that will not prevent you from doing what you do every day and prevent us from doing what we do every day. Thank you all, and thank you to our special guest who will be with us in a minute, but we have to have this editorial. It is Sunday, November the 16th, 2025. It is the 320th day of the year 2025 on the Gregorian and the Julian calendars. Yes, it is another day. It is another time. So we have only 45 days left to the end of the year. Can you imagine? 320 days, and we have just 45 days left until the end of the year. Today is the 46th Sunday of 2025 on the 47th week of 2025 when we use United States calculations. It is the 58th day, Ambassador, of fall. That leaves us with 35 more days before you start shoveling snow. Well, winter, it may come earlier than the 45 days. We never can tell. Heard of fried chicken, pizza, hot dogs, chips, onion rings, or hamburgers? Well, these are fast foods to both the busy people of the world and to those of us who like to eat it. It is National Fast Food Day. That is why I brought that. The traditionally rich and greasy fast food often tastes like pure bliss on the tongue, and on some occasions, some people even brawl over it because they think that they are not having enough. Whatever it is, today is National Fast Food Day, a perfect excuse to indulge in all these or all those fast and favorite treats that you have at this time of year. But that is not our main concern right now, because we are turning onto our main topic of the week, which is the E in our acronym. For historical purposes, we need to slow down before we get there to say that today is International Day for Tolerance, a day on which we are invited to celebrate humanity by embracing differences, spreading kindness, and creating a world where everyone feels accepted and valued. The day of today was established in 1996 to hold aloft, like a torch, the spirit of tolerance, which of course started in 1995. It was aimed at making sure that we learn to accept one another in faith, in mindfulness, and accepting one another for who they are. To that end, and to encourage quality and diversity across the globe, the United Nations Organization, the UNO, based in New York, decided to uphold that spirit in 1995 and to celebrate it annually. So it is an annual celebration. The International Day for Tolerance was therefore founded following the United Nations Year for Tolerance in 1995, if I can repeat myself as I usually do. The United Nations Year for Tolerance is in honor of the 125th anniversary of the birth of Mahatma Gandhi. he was Indian. We will leave things there and turn to the topic of the day, that is what I referred to earlier, the letter E in our STEW acronym. That letter E stands for energy and electricity. And simply put, electricity is a form of energy that is carried through wires and is used to operate machines, lights, appliances, and so on and so forth. As for the topic today, we focus on what it is, and our guest will help us understand better what electricity is all about. That being said, we turn to the chair. She cannot say it, but I will just let her see if she can say it so that she welcomes our guest before we move on to what electricity is all about. Your Highness, are you able to say something?
Yeah, I'm still congested, trying to drink some something hot to clear my sinuses. But thank you so much. I didn't even know that they have a National Fast Food Day. Fast food is what is killing us in this country, and so I'm not going to honor it. But thank you for your editorials. On behalf of Africa Online Media Corporation, I want to appreciate you. I want to appreciate our co-anchor, Prophetess Ambassador Lisa Parks, our queen, beautiful queen, always a queen. Dr. Crossley, you have a heavenly crown. I don't care about earthly crowns. I thank you so much. And our guest today was recommended by you. So he'll be joining us later, Mr. Anton Thompson. I want to also welcome our viewers. So we are going to keep the show going until our guest comes back on. He was on, and he'll be back shortly. Dr. Crossley, so you want to just wait when he comes back and then you introduce him, but we'll also like for him to introduce himself to our viewers. What is your preference, Dr. Crossley?
Okay, so I would just like to say that he will come back on. He did let me know that he is in a meeting, but just briefly, I don't want to speak too much because he, in his absence right now. But I think next week we'll probably have better time with him. His name is Antoine Thompson. And just a brief introduction about him. I do know that he is a former senator in New York and that he studied at the University of Ghana in Ghana, West Africa. Um, it's like he is so amazing. Every time I speak to him, on whatever topic it is, he's been on top of it. When you all mentioned we're going to talk about electricity today, I thought about him as far as clean energy. So with clean energy, uh, as it relates to electricity, he's in the clean energy as it relates to like battery operated and but I don't want to speak on his behalf because I'm not certainly not an authority on it. But I do know that he uses clean American transportation fuels for uh, the governmental agency. So I have to be careful what I speak because this is being live streamed and recorded. Her Excellency, Your Highness, Ambassador, Queen Mother, Dr. Pam Thumanong. And it's an honor to be in your presence and humbled to be on your program, African Brain Bank, and African Media, Online
Okay.
Media Corporation with Professor Niasan and with Her Excellency Ambassador Dr. Prophetess Lisa. I know she doesn't think I know she's a doctor, but she is, and she has a heavenly crown as
That's
well.
right.
We all do because we represent heaven. We all represent Christ. Glory to God. But I just want to just remind the viewers, that I'm always humbled for them listening, and I support this program, as you said. And last week we talked about water. I think I did do my pageant. I did not win the crown, as you say, but I learned a lot. And it's just like any conference. You know, it's like trying out for anything in life. We all win as long as we keep trying, but it's the impact that we have. It's the impact that I've made even to get this far. It's the impact that I'm going to make even going further. And people ask me a lot, why do I put myself through this grueling test, you know, of my own wit? And I can tell them that is exactly what I'm doing. I'm testing how far I've come, what I've done, and the impact that I've made, and the impact that I'm going to do. And it's just like everyone on here who's educated and everybody on here is. Why did we do it? People used to tell us, why are you going to school? Why are you working so hard? Because we want to learn. And that's what pageantry is all about, is being a diplomat. So last week, I talked about water, and then this week we're talking about electric. And then next week we're talking about transportation, which Mr. Antoine, in my eyes, is an expert. And he's helping me.
Awesome.
Yes, ma'am. And he's helping me with my Safe Water for Veterans. And so with electric, to answer the viewers that are intrigued, like, what is electric? Well, electricity is the flow of tiny particles called electrons. And we know electricity as being the light switch, turning on a light. But electricity is in a lot of forms, but the electrons are used to create energy. Now, where do we get our electricity from? We get it from power plants. I have a brother who, I know this has been live streamed, so I have to be careful what I say about people when they're not in our presence. Um, but he's a nuclear scientist, and he knows all about energy. And Mr. Antoine, he knows all about like turbines and solar panels and hydropower and power plants and batteries and battery operated cars and things like that. I have electric. It's in the form of a battery that I use to charge my phone. And it's a different type of current. And I'm not an expert, but when I need to use my phone, I need to use my phone. So coming over here on the airplane, what's their name? Xfinity Mobile. You know, I purchased a brand new iPhone 17 Pro Max, and I didn't use the proper energy source to charge it. I just used one made in China. And so it run my phone. And Apple said no, they weren't going to replace the phone after one day. The first day I got it, I was charging it with a made in China. And they said I can only use an Apple charger. Anyway, so I finally did get a new iPhone Pro Max. I got it exchanged, but I wasn't able to return it because I ended up with like four that I had to return. And I didn't want to have to try to explain to TSA why I'm carrying all these batteries, because they don't want people even carrying one battery, let alone four,
That's
right?
right.
And then plus they had canceled my flight, everyone. You know, the flight delays and all of that. I know that's another topic, but I'm sure it probably has something to do with electric and energy. Everything does. Um, so, with that said, that is a little breakdown, real quick, fun science of what electricity means to me. Um, and
Th-
then, as I said, next week, Mr. Honorable former Senator Antoine Thompson can talk to us about transportation.
Thank you so much. And I'm glad you told us it's a senator, so we'll appreciate a former senator, so we'll address him appropriately. And I'm glad he'll be back on next week to talk about transportation. So just to be clear, today we are speaking about electricity and energy. Those are two things we're talking about. They are intertwined. So I'm going to go on mute, and then I'll hand it over to the anchors. And when our speaker comes on, I would welcome him officially and then the show will proceed. But I'm going to go on mute. Thank you so much, Dr. Crossley.
Sure, you're welcome. If you guys want to ask me anything about safe water for veterans and how it connects to energy, I would be happy to explain that.
While getting there, I want first of all to congratulate you for your participation yesterday in that pageant. And I saw the flash, it came on my phone, and I said, oh, but I know this lady. She's one of our team members in AfricaOnline Media Corporation. Congratulations for sticking out your neck and making sure that you do the best that you do in all things that you do. And you did not win, yes, but participation is better than sitting out of the game. So you're welcome, Dr. Crossley.
Thank you. So my platform, Prophetess Lisa, can I say something about my platform?
Go ahead.
Sure.
Okay. So my platform is Safe Water for Veterans. And what we do, and as I said, Mr. Antoine Thompson is on the team. We have a former 4-star retired general who was appointed 4-star general by the President of the United States. I also posted my interview with him on Facebook, I think it is. Yes, and it's a YouTube channel, on my YouTube channel. And then there's a commander. I don't know, pilot. I don't know if she's going to still help out or not because she's so busy with journalism, just like Professor Niasan. But my platform, Safe Water for Veterans, is about dedicating ourselves to ensuring that every veteran and their family has access to clean, healthy water in their homes and in their communities. And we do this through education, testing, and advocacy, bringing hope, healing, and honor to those who served our country. And I understand that safe water, healthy housing, and energy all work together to protect our veterans and their families, because in rural and disadvantaged communities, they don't always have testing available, and it costs money to have to buy the test kit, for example, at Home Depot. I think they're like anywhere from, don't quote me, but $75 to $100. So energy and water, even for everybody, it is linked together. And sometimes when water is contaminated, it costs families more money in energy to boil the water. So in my neighborhood, because our water has been contaminated, because we have those toxic gold mines that are inactive and never been cleaned up, all those toxins seep into the wastewater and into the well water, and the water treatment plants get overloaded. Sometimes the generators don't work. For whatever reason, we get these boil water advisories. And some people don't boil their water. They'll just still use it. Um, they like for people to filter their water, and that's really expensive. And buying bottled water is also expensive. A lot of times with the older homes, there's poor ventilation, there's mold. As everyone knows, there's mold on everything anyway. And broken windows also cost more in providing electricity and cooling the house when the windows are broken. And so with that, I just wanted to take a break. And that's how safe water for veterans and energy work together and is linked in every home.
Wow. Thank you for that, Dr. Crones. That was interesting correlation, because I did have some questions, and like I said, I was not here for the water conversation, but I did have questions about your platform, Safe Waters for Veterans, and I didn't understand why veterans as opposed to everybody. Why is everybody not getting safe water? So we appreciate the breakdown and the clarity on your Safe Water for Veterans platform.
And because on military bases, most military bases were built in the 50s and the 60s when they used lead pipes. And so, as we all know, lead pipes are toxic. So, in my neighborhood, we got a letter saying, you know, all homes that were built pre 1986 need to be checked because most homes pre 1986 were also built using lead pipes for the water or lead fixtures inside those pipes. But back to the military bases, they train, on chemicals because of war. So when they put out fires, they use water that has toxins and chemicals in the water. And I spoke with a fireman that was in charge of our security yesterday, and he said they get exposed to those toxins all the time because they're practicing to put out fires. But on the military bases, it's where they practice to put out the fires from the bombs and fires and things like that. So all of the toxins that they use to put out fires, that foam, it seeps into the groundwater. Um, there was a contestant in the pageant who, just had this creative idea at 4 years old to paint herself with lead paint like the Tin Man. And so she got lead poisoning. And it stunted her growth, and the story goes downhill from there for her. But inside our water, um, they test for E. coli nitrates and to find the EPA standard level of what's acceptable. And that's how we know if the water is contaminated or not. But it takes a couple of years, no offense to anybody, for the body to start, for most bodies to start showing signs of um, unhealthy or sensitive immune system disorder from unsafe water. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That's a lot of information. But how do you get the military people you work with to do what they do? How do you mobilize them?
Yes, please don't make me cry because um, I don't want to sound funny or anything, but it just dropped in my lap. And I was judging a beauty pageant, and one of the contestants was telling me about her husband, who is some kind of official in the military. I forget his title, but it's one of them real big ones. And that gave me the idea to do some research. And I applied for a grant, and the government shut down. And the day it was on the news that they opened, I got an email from the government. I don't want to say who they are, but it's really impressive. And because I had already started the work and I applied for that grant, and now they want to talk to me, I know it's God. And because everything just fit, everything just falls into place. Everything in my neighborhood, the whole water contamination problem that we have, sitting on these toxic mines. So I'm learning. And then I wrote a quality assurance project plan. So not only am I an award-winning grant writer, I want to call myself an environmental project manager leader. But once my quality assurance project plan gets approved, then I have the credentials to say, that I am an environmental health program manager, because I don't think the internet will let me say I'm a scientist yet. Even though I have my doctorate degree in research, I still have to, you know, have someone else formally say that's what I am. But that's how I landed this job, just by caring and just by not being afraid to, well, I was a little afraid. But I'm no longer afraid. I've heard horror stories about people who took their problems to the government and how they were harmed in all different kind of ways, even from Flint, Michigan, people, told their officials, hey, this is hurting our community. And then those people got hurt, physically and all other kind of ways. So that thought did cross my mind, but God quickly stepped in and shielded me all around. And I'm just going to do whatever God tells me. And it's just so amazing. I joined the Women's Bar Association of the DC chapter, and I'm sitting in the room with the head chief law director for the Safe Water. I was in France for the Safe Water Summit. I was able to present to the mayors and 250 other dignitaries about the Safe Water program that I have in my neighborhood and also in Charlottesville and Albemarle County. And in France, they are the epitome of safe water because they make water there. And it's only God that I have done all of this work and that I continue to strive and to protect our veterans and honor our veterans. And that's why I chose veterans, because they have fought for our country and protected us, and they should not have to fight for safe water. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Ambassador?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Gloria, for that insight. I believe our guest is still otherwise occupied, so we are waiting for him. But in the meantime, let's talk about we're going to be talking about energy, but what type of energy? And there are different types, apparently. So I want to talk real briefly about what is clean energy. We know that a lot of our energy comes from power plants, and I like to watch a lot of these B-class movies where there's always these meteor storms and all kind of crazy weather that is happening in these towns, and a lot of it is because of the energy that's being put out from these power plants. But now we're trying to go solar. I know my pastor has solar panels installed at his house. He was part of a project there in Jersey in his new development where he was able to get solar panels. But what exactly is clean energy? So clean energy refers to energy derived from renewable, zero emission sources that do not pollute the atmosphere when they're used. Zero emissions. That would be like wind turbines, something that our current leadership is totally against. So they kill the birds and things like that. But they produce zero emissions because it's the wind that is being used to produce the energy. So the atmosphere, like I said, it doesn't pollute the atmosphere. It includes technology such as solar. We talked about the solar panels a minute ago, and the wind, just talked about, and hydropower, geothermal, nuclear, and bioenergy. So we know that definitely that hydropower comes from the water. So we're talking about clean energy that comes from things that are already existing in the atmosphere, that are always already existing in our lives: water, air, wind. Excuse me. So clean energy sources emit little or no pollutants during generation and storage processing. So, Nancy, I wonder why our power companies do not want to switch over to clean energy. We're talking about saving our planet. We're talking about climate change. And if there's something that can save our world for the next 2, 3, 4 generations and beyond, why is it that we don't want to use these particular energy sources that can be used by the sun, the wind, and the water? Do you have any idea? What's your thought?
My fear is that these companies don't want to carry out new investments. They just want to stick with the old school that they went to and continue to use that old school to provide the electricity, to produce it, to distribute it, and to have it around. I don't think they're interested in modernization. which of course is a bad thing because in business, you have to modernize to be able to bring in new deals and to bring in new products, new sources, and so on. But if you just continue to use the same old thing, I mean, you maybe get stuck one day.
Yeah. Well, part of it, their son, is the financial aspect of it. They have shareholders and people who invest, so they need that money. There is no money in the sun. The sun is free. It's just hanging out there in the sky. You just need to generate it. The wind is free. Water is free. So these clean energy sources actually will not be producing income for their stakeholders and their shareholders, which is one of the reasons why they won't give up the power plants ideal and move into something that's clean that will actually preserve our environment. And I think it's a little bit of a disgrace that they don't think 2 or 3 generations down. They don't think past their own wallets. But that is one of the reasons. I'm sure that there are many others, but that's one of the reasons, one of the main reasons why companies who run power plants don't want to use solar or wind or hydropower, because there is no money in it. But there are lives that are attached to it. I mean, yes, it produces jobs which are needed. There's a 50-50 good and bad to almost everything that we do. Sometimes we just have to balance out and weigh, which is going to be the most beneficial, So clean energy, but there are some people who are moving towards clean energy. In Africa, we don't have that kind of problem, really. We don't have power plants there that are producing all of these emissions because we've got lots of wind, we've got especially lots of sun. So solar panels would be the more beneficial way for most countries in Africa to go because the sun is right there. Now, I do know for a fact that in Uganda, where they built the dam, because I live in Uganda most of the time, and I go from one side of town to the other, depending on what side of the town is going to be having their power shedding, turning off the electricity. So I said, if they turn off the electricity over here, let me just go over here to my girlfriend's house and stay over here because this is where electricity is going to be. But I know that the power plant or whoever built the dam wrong, which is why the electricity is not sustainable. Now, I've not had that problem too much in Kenya. And then in Nigeria, I won't even talk about the power supply in where I stay in Nigeria. That is just ridiculous. I was in Nigeria for 2 months. And for 90% of that time, I didn't have any electricity. And when we did get a little bit of electricity and turned on the generator, we charged up the batteries on the phones and the laptops and things because we knew it was going to be running out soon. So what has been your experience? I know that you've been gone from home a long time, but what has been your experiences while you were at home with your energy source?
In the beginning, things were kind of rosy. But
Rosie?
kind of rosy. Rosy, that is good. But as time went on, either lack of political will or lack of good faith in the business people involved, the businesses, the electricity generation started degenerating. And gradually, in Cameroon in particular now, you have lights on Monday and you don't have it the rest of the week. Or you have it on Friday and you don't have the rest of the week.
Wow.
Electricity is at the beck and call of those who control the power. So it is something that is a disgrace because when we had independence, what they call independence, when I was growing up, we had a hydroelectric plant in our part of the country, the English-speaking part of the country, which was good enough. But when nationalization came on and they took it over, it became a government-owned business and things started going down the drain. And electricity started failing. When it fails, it doesn't come back the next day. It doesn't come back the next week. It may take a month.
Wow, that's a long time.
It is a problem that is beginning to shame us in the face because we used to, when we grew up, we had electricity, but now we don't have electricity. They are building dams in the country They're building generators. I mean, dams. They're building dams. They call them hydroelectricity dams. But these dams still are not enough, still do not generate enough energy to run the businesses in the country. So it's a big problem of electricity in Cameroon in particular now. It's just like you say in Nigeria, you have one part of town will have it today, one part will not have, and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. So water is the same, electricity is the same. So those very vital resources that humanity needs, that people need in their community, are no longer as good as they used to be.
Wow. That is unbelievable to have electricity one day and then the other 6, there is none. I'm complaining about the electricity going off in the evening and I got to move over here so I can have a little electricity, and you don't have it for 6 days. So I heard you say that you already had hydroelectricity, so that electricity was coming from the dams or the rivers.
Yeah, from the dams.
And then once they built the dams, that was it. It just
the bill, but I don't know what is wrong with the supply system, because the supply is as infrequent as the sun rises and sets.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes a big problem. So you don't have the power that you think the government or the companies are supposed to supply you with. Mm-hmm. So it becomes a big problem. So you may have your generator, personal private generator. Yes, that may help you for a while, but then you have to continue to buy the gas and make sure that you run it. Yeah.
Right.
Whereas there is a public service that has been built by the state and it's sponsored. You pay your rent. I mean, you pay your bills and you have the electricity. But then these days, the lights go out. The people that are supposed to work on them, they pass by and they look at you and they tell you you have to pay so much so that they can put you something here. But then even when you put it, the supply is still questionable.
The supply is definitely questionable. Dr. Gloria has her hand raised. Did you want to add a comment?
Oh, yeah. So when you were speaking about the infrastructure of the electric company, I know when I worked for the governor's office there too, because they use municipal bonds there, the electric company. And when I worked for the telephone company, they use shares. So in order to run, like say, a phone company, something of that magnitude, or a bank, or electric company, it costs billions of dollars. And what happens is, for example, even the power plants, billions of dollars of infrastructure. So they sign these contracts that sometimes go into 2 and 3 generations into the future. So they're not able to say, okay, well, let's just switch over to solar, because they already have a contract and they already have utility agreements. And as you said, they already have profit contracts and construction contracts, grid agreements, and where they're even locked into old technology. So someone who signed a construction contract, like even for a home, it's hard to get a good contractor to even build a home. Yes. And then because it's not the contractor's fault, it's just that they have to go through so much permits, and so many other engineers have to approve certain projects, even electricians. So it's a lot just to build a custom home. And so that's usually why they try to build, several at a time. But anyways, back to electricity. As you were saying, they're legally required to keep buying fossil fuels, because if they break that contract, they can be penalized millions or billions of dollars. That's like saying, okay, we're going, if I was the stockbroker or whatever they call those people that sell, is not Bitcoins, but sell electricity, whatever that stock is. Now, my girlfriend, if she was on here, she would know because she also was a senator, and they work on things like this every day because that's what keeps the lights on. No pun intended. And yeah, it's a lot of legal um, steps that they would have to take in order to switch over to solar, just for an example. And so they're basically trapped in old deals, and that's why clean water for veterans is important because we understand infrastructure. We just need to educate our communities so that our community is not hurt in any kind of way. And they do support uh, initiatives like this. There's tons of ways that we can help, and we can start by recycling the plastic from bottled waters. There are a lot of utensils that we use in our homes that are toxic to us. Some of the aluminum pans and a lot of the kitchen utensils. So there's a lot of educating we have to do in the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. There's a lot that we have to do. Also, government as the main company or the main person that is supposed to provide services to the public in the respective countries. What is happening is beyond belief, because as I was saying about Cameroon, the companies are there. The electricity companies are there. Government is providing the money, but then this money is pilfered along the way. So if they budgeted 1,000 francs or $1,000 for something, the amount that ends up being used for that project may only be chicken feed, because the rest has been stolen along the way by those who are supposed to be contractors dealing with that business. It is unfortunate because they don't seem to have the sympathy of the public in mind. They just think that because they have what they have, they do what they do with it, and they don't care about the people.
So Dr. Crossland mentioned that one of the reasons why the plants don't switch over to excuse me, to clean energy is because one, other costs, and they have contracts to use fossil fuels. And we know that to get those fossil fuels, that is giving jobs to a lot of people who are down in those mines, digging for that coal, digging for oil. But what is it doing to their health? I can't imagine working in the mines, down in the mines, and you're not getting some type of carcinogenic. I don't want to say poison because I don't believe it's poison, but you're not having some carcinogenic episodes happening to your lungs. Of course, I've never looked into the research of, even in preparation for this show, I didn't look into the statistics of how many people have died from working in the mines and things, but it does provide jobs. So fossil fuels are natural hydrocarbonating, natural hydrocarbons, and they contain materials formed from the remains of ancient plants, animals, oil, coal, and natural gases. Of course, again, that requires people to dig. And while they're digging to get the fossil fuels, they're also digging their own deaths because they're destroying their lungs, they're breathing in that black coal. And if I'm not mistaken, I won't say that because I'm not sure, so I won't say that. I don't want to have to retract anything, but that cannot be good. It was a process that we had years ago. I remember when I was a girl growing up, we had a coal furnace. Everybody had coal furnaces in their home, and we had to go down there with that shovel and shovel that coal in to keep the house warm, and then we had to shovel those ashes out. But my mother always made sure that when we went downstairs to do so, we covered our face. We had to tie a rag on our face. And now I'm sure that the lumps of coal probably were not as toxic as if I was digging in the mine, but they were still hazardous to your health. So she always made sure that we covered up our nose and mouth when we went down there to shovel that coal. And you're opening that furnace and you're putting that coal in, and it's releasing all this steam and smoke, which also could be hazardous as well. But as I said, fossil fuels are non-renewable energy sources, so they're not what we call clean.
Can I just weigh in real quick? While we're trying to, Dr. Cross, if you don't mind, I sent a text to Mr. Thompson. We're almost coming at the top of the hour, but while we are trying to reach him, if you can find out, he will still come. If not, I mean, well, we know you invited him for next Sunday also, but if he can come in briefly, fine. But I just want to share something. Let me just share my screen here. And Liaison, if you don't mind reading this, because I am really, really congested. Hold on, if you see my screen. Liaison, can you see my screen?
Oh, the writing is so small.
Okay, let me try to read this. I pulled this up. This is AI. We're talking about trash to energy, pros and cons. You know, there are a lot of people doing this. There was even a young lady in Cameroon. I saw that on Facebook. I should have actually contacted them for this program, but it says waste to energy. I'm not going to read all this because we're sharing the screen. People can read it. Waste to energy facilities reduce waste volume, generate electricity, and decrease reliance on landfills. However, they face challenges including high construction and maintenance costs, potential for air and ash pollutions, and community oppositions due to health and environmental concerns. But let's talk about this briefly because, okay, if we are recycling the trash to produce energy, you think trash has health concerns also, but then saying here that there are also environmental and health concerns from the pollution. You guys want to weigh in on that? Sorry, I got to mute because I'm about to sneeze.
There is nothing we humans do that does not endanger our health. Almost every single thing that we do, every adventure that we undertake, kind of has an effect on our health. So it is very, very important for us to watch our health first, because if we don't have the health, we will not be surviving, we will not be living. So it is very important that we watch our health as we seek to have these modern things. Well, they're not modern, but if we all went solar, maybe it would be better than having all these other fuels that we're talking about that endanger our health. I don't think solar energy is as dangerous to the human health as the other sources of energy that we have. That said, I see I'm by myself here at this moment, so it is difficult.
No, you're not by yourself. We're just muted. Ambassador Lisa, you were texting me directly instead of posting to everybody. That's why your text is not going. You know, but Ambassador, I think she's coughing.
Yes.
You know,
and
so Dr. Crossley, were you able to reach our guest?
Yes, he said he's in a meeting. He does apologize. I did ask him to come back next Sunday at 4. What I wanted to say that Ambassador Lisa was thinking that she didn't really know because she couldn't, she's not an expert, as she said. So she was only saying what she thinks, based how we all learn. But she's correct in what she's learned about why the coal mines and just mines in general are dangerous. Everything she said is spot on. Because they are, well, according to what my husband told me, is he's not an expert, but he said that, like in the gold mines, that there's a type of rock down there that is all, that's graphite, I think he called it, is toxic itself. And it looks like gold and it's with the gold. And so there's toxic gases under the earth anyway. That's how the water pressure and pushes up the water and all that. So and that causes flooding when they're down there digging. And then they have those that heavy equipment down there that they use. It's like a whole little city down there that's just ready to explode because there's, not to scare anybody. If my little doggy could hear me, he would run behind the couch because he says I scare him. You know, when I'm telling him about the flooding and the poor air quality that's down there, the electricity that they have to use and the gases they have to use, even the power, that heavy equipment is all is it's a disaster ready to happen. No offense to anybody. And just like Prophetess Lisa said, there's no air down there, so it's extreme heat. There's they work long hours and they get physically exhausted, and they get that black lung disease. It's just terrible. I'm no offense to anyone, but I know our waiter last night. He said he's a waiter because he was working in a manufacturing plant that builds clothes, and you know the materials for the clothes, for like, no offense to anybody, but I know Dr. Pam Thumanon doesn't want us giving nobody, you know, free marketing, so I won't say the brand name, but even plastic.
Dr. Crossley, you do pay attention on this program.
Yes, ma'am. Even for the plastic, you know, that is at the manufacturing plant, even for plastic. He said he was breathing in the particles of the dust and everything, just flying around in the air. And they don't even give them masks to wear, because what good is a mask going to do? Because then they really won't be able to breathe. And it's just like on the airplane coming over here. When we finally did get on the airplane, they didn't be like telling us, hey, you know, grab the, you know, seat thing anymore, because they know good and well, everybody know that doesn't work. Now, why are they going to stand up there and say grab it? Anyway, so yeah, there's just no way to properly handle issues like that. So what he did was he decided to move here to Mississippi and become a waiter. And that's how we met. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Wow, that's very interesting.
I just saw this statistic, which is daunting. Says 600 million people in Africa live without electricity. 600 million out of the 1 billion people on the continent. 600 million do not have electricity. So
wow.
they do not have, some may have access, but the electricity is just come and go the next minute. So
Right.
it's not steady. So,
and like I know in Africa, in Nigeria, while I was there, my brother was saying that I said, well, you know, does your electric bill change because your electric is off so much? Does it, you know, does the bill? He said, no, the bill comes as a regular amount every month, and they are expected to pay that bill every month, even though they've not had any electricity. And when they don't pay the bill, the electric company comes out to the house and cuts the wires to the house. So now when you want to pay the bill and get some, now you got to pay a fee for them to come out, restore the wiring, and that is just unconscionable that they don't adjust the bill to the fact, you know, to the amount of electricity that you have been giving. It's unconscionable and it's totally unfair. We are almost at the top.
in Cameroon, they don't cut the wires, but they have something on the meter. They come and take something from your meter in Cameroon. So they take off something from your meter, and the wires will be there, but there will be no electricity.
But there's no electricity.
Yes.
Is the bill adjusted because of, you know,
no,
not either.
No. Your bill stands as is from the day one that they first sent you the bill. If it's $200, next month maybe 250 or 200 or 190. It depends. They work with the figures in a way that they make you look like you are consuming, but not not too much. Yes,
right. So,
but now all they do is they want their share. They don't want you to benefit.
Right. Now in Uganda, we have prepaid electricity.
Yes.
So they don't come and cut your wires, but if you don't pay or you don't go and buy, like you used to have to go and buy credit, or you had to buy what's the thing when you had to buy the little cars to get your phone to work. You have to buy your electricity ahead of time. So when I'm there, I pay the electric. I make my host know I'm paying the electric bill
Yeah.
because we're going to boil water more than once a day. We're going to wash dishes in hot water. We're going to wash the clothes in hot water. So I'm going to be boiling water all day long. So I will take care of the electric bill when I'm there because I just can't. I just can't have. I just can't get up in the morning and wash dirty dishes that are greasy and been sitting there all night, and we wash them in cold water with a bar soap. We're not doing that. I'm going there. I buy dish detergent if I don't take it with me, but I buy dish detergent. I take laundry detergent with me, and because I'm going to be washing clothes and I'm going to be washing dishes and all those other kind of things.
That's
We are 1 minute to the top of the hour, and Dr. Crossland has her hand raised.
Yeah, I would like to talk about it when we come back. But over in the US, over here in the US, when there are storms and the electric goes out because the power lines are knocked down, they usually put the power lines back up in certain neighborhoods before they put it up in other neighborhoods, other rural neighborhoods. Thank you so much.
Oh, wow. Okay, thank you. Uh, Now, I would have just assumed that there are only so many workers and they can only get to so many areas at a time. So eventually they'll get to them. But you're saying that it seems like they do it pre-selectively. They pick certain neighborhoods to do first, as opposed to let's
Yeah.
just put a team of people and everybody go in all different directions.
Oh, yeah. And I just thank God it's not happening in my neighborhood because I will call the electric company and I will argue with them and I'll tell them, well, let's do my street first, you know. But in some rural areas in Maryland, I guess Pepco, God forgive me for using their name, but anyone can Google it. In the past, many, many years ago, they got a complaint because they were known for doing that. And if I'm wrong, I do apologize to Pepco in advance. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Carlson. We are at the top of the hour and we're going to have our anthem, which we
okay.
always play at 5 o'clock. We want you to grab a drink of water. Go check on your pot that I know that you got simmering, waiting for the show to be over so you can go get your dinner, and we will be right back.
All right. The anthem, not yet. Okay, there we go.
Oh, Africa. Oh no. Africans, Africans for Africa. 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 Africans have many bright ideas. If only you let us share. If you really want to know my history, please come, sit down, listen to my story. God gave us a wisdom. He guides our footsteps, makes us shine and transform. Hey, as one people, with so many cultures, yet indeed we are one. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. Let us all unite behind AfricaOnline Media Corporation. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. It's time to come together, promote awareness, progress, and solution. Hey. Africans, Africans for Africa. Africans, Africans for Africa. Africans, Africans for Africa. All Africans can rally for a common cause, to believe without judgment in what our brother does. To identify and resolve our challenges, to allow each other's ideas without regard to standards. As one people with so many cultures, yes indeed we are one. Stand up Africans for Africa. Let us solve all the problems plaguing our continent. Stand up Africans, let's save Africa. Let us empower Africans in and out of Africa. Stand up Africans for Africa. Africa Online Media Corporation, that's a good way to start. Stand up Africans, let's save Africa. They have all the resources we need to benefit our society. Oh. Education for everyone. If we believe prosperity for Africans, if we believe medical facilitation for Africans, if we believe stand up Africa, yes, for Africa. Africa Online Media Corporation, that's a good way to start. Stand up Africans, let's save Africa. Africa is the cradle of civilization, the motherland. Stand up Africans for Africa. We were enslaved not because we were weak, but because of our hospitality. Stand up Africans, let's save Africa. Jump on the Africa Online Miracle Jet. Don't be left behind. Stand up Africans for Africa. Together we shall succeed. Together we will win. Stand up Africans. Let's save Africa. We are writing our own story. The truth, and we shall tell it to the world. Stand up Africans for Africa. No more lies. Africans own Africa.
No more lies. Africans own Africa. And we thank God for our CEO, Her Royal Highness, Reverend Pam, for writing that song, our anthem. We own full rights to that African Online anthem, and we are so proud that that belongs to us. And it was sung and the music was played by our very own DJ Skipper. At this time, the announcements for next week.
Yes, thank you so much, Ambassador Lisa. We're going to be discussing telecommunication and transportation. So we already have a guest for transportation. Let's try to find a guest on telecommunication. Or Dr. Crossley, let him know that the topic is telecommunication and transportation. They are actually connected. You know, telecommunication could be transportation of information. You know, so that's what we're going to be having next week. So go ahead.
Would that include when we're talking about transportation? I know we've done this before. I just can't seem to remember the day. My head is a little foggy, but are we talking about how we get around on transportation?
Everything transportation, whether it's the roads, it's challenges on the roads, everything transportation and telecommunication.
Okay,
it's a broad topic. We can address, and we've been discussing transportation for 9 years. So every year is different. Yes, yeah. So
okay.
And Mr. Thompson is probably going to bring in a new perspective. So Dr. Crossley, kindly have him send a confirmation that he'll be on next Sunday. Over to you, uncles.
Okay. Well, we excuse me, we're going to be ending this show a little early today. Our guest was unavailable. He was otherwise tied up in meetings, and he was trying to make room for us. But we know that things happen, and we're all very busy people. So we
Yeah,
look forward to hearing.
Ambassador Lisa, please let me just say something before we end the program.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of us turn off the lights when we walk out of the room, but we're talking about energy savings, activities that we can do even at the home level to save electricity. I got conscious about this a few years ago when Jesse Duplantis, he's a comedic preacher out of, I think, New Orleans. Um, he said he saved $15,000 a month by just asking the staff to turn off the lights when they walk out of the room. A lot of people don't turn off their lights when they walk out of the room. And worse, the Gen Z and the Alpha, they don't turn off the lights when they walk out of the room. So just want to encourage everyone, let's save energy. When you walk out of the room, turn off the lights. That's what I wanted, that's the comment I wanted to make.
That's very interesting that you brought that up because I get a report I'm not sure if it's every month. I think I get the report from my electric company every month. And it gives me a breakdown on how much electricity is used day to day. It tells me you use more electricity this week than last week, or I use less this week than last week. But I noticed that on the grid, Wednesday is the day that I always use the most electricity. And Wednesday is the day, I don't know why Sunday isn't, but Wednesday is the day that I have a couple of Zoom classes right behind each other, and I'm on Zoom from like 6 up until after sometimes 10:30. And even though on Sundays I have 3 Zoom programs, I don't know why, but Wednesday, I guess Sunday comes in the second, it's very second close, but Wednesday is the day that I use the most electricity. And I do turn off the lights when I leave the room, especially now that my children are now in their own homes. I don't have to have keyboards going and guitars and amplifiers and all those other things. So I can turn the lights off and they're not up playing drums and having rehearsals and stuff all day long. So the lights go out, and most of the time the lights don't even come on. I like natural light. I don't want the lights on until it's absolutely very necessary. So
But Ambassador Lisa, have you figured out why Wednesday has the highest consumption?
yes, well, I'm up. It's on Wednesday evenings, so my lights are on. The computer is on, plugged in. This selfie light is on, so I've got a lot of electricity burning on Wednesday evenings, as opposed to like Sunday morning. I don't have to turn lights on Sunday morning because it's the morning and the sunlight is usually coming in. Right now, it's a little dark outside, but it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're doing the Zoom show. My electricity is not on. I just have on a selfie light. But tonight I will have on a selfie light plus the lights in the room on. But I think that's why, because it's Wednesday evening and it's already dark. So I do need the lights on in the bedroom or in the room that I'm going to be in, plus my selfie light. Because when your lights are over your head or behind your head, you don't get good lighting on Zoom. So I need all that extra light to try. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I figured. That's how I
yeah.
figured.
Before Dr. Crossley and Nia Song weigh in on whether they turn off the lights or not, another thing people don't realize that the oven is one of the most consumers of energy in the home. The
What's
oven,
that?
the oven, the oven,
The
the
oven?
oven. Yes, it consumes the oven and the air condition. It consumes the
Oh,
most
yes.
energy in the house. But now with air fryers, a lot of people don't even use their ovens that much anymore. But
Yep.
we need people to know that the oven and the air condition consumes the most. And then the other thing is, some people leave their ACs on at like 78. And from what I was told, I'm not an expert, I'm not doing research on this, it's better to keep it at that constant temperature than turn it off and turn it back on. Because when you turn it off and you turn it back on, it has to cool the entire house again before it gets to a comfortable temperature. But when you leave it on, maybe 78 or more, depending on where you live, you can easily bring it down without necessarily turning it off and on. I don't know. I want you guys to weigh in on that.
Mhm.
All of you to weigh in on those two things.
Yeah, but I don't have an air conditioner. I don't like air conditioning. And you're right about the oven. I use two eyes on the top of my stove now. That's to heat my tea kettle for tea and whatever I may be warming up. If I'm making a soup or something, it's in that one pot on one eye. And I rarely ever turn the oven on because I love my air fryer. I don't have to stand down there watching it. I just put it in the air fryer and come back after so many minutes. So yes, the air fryer does help with the electricity because it does not burn as much. Near-san.
Yes, we turn off the lights whenever we are not in the house, and we make sure that we regulate the temperatures to suit the temperature. I mean, to suit human ability to live within
Comfortability.
that space. Yeah, consumability. That's right. So it's sometimes the kids, of course, forget. So we always tell them, remind them constantly. Please make sure when you leave the room, turn off the lights. When you come in, turn it on, but only when you need it. Don't put it on because when the sun is high above your head.
Right.
Turn on the lights only when it's dark.
Hmm.
So we try to regulate use as much as possible. Yes. What else are we saying? We're rounding up, or what do we do?
Dr. Crossland, would you want to like to weigh in on that?
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess I could just be perfectly transparent and just say that I'm one of those type of people that, you know, the electricity bill is going to be the electricity bill unless, well, okay. So we moved into this really huge home where the ceiling was, you couldn't even reach it. And in my room, it was so big, my closet was the size of another room, a whole nother room. And then there was another closet on the side of there. I'm assuming it was a closet, but it was another big room to put clothes in, big, huge walk-in closets. So anyway, so my bed, I mean, how big of a bed can a person get, right? King size. And it just sits in the middle of the floor. And it's not like where a person can walk and look out the window because you have to like walk pretty far. Anyway, make a long story short, when I asked my husband, I'm like, wow, that's a barn we're moving into. They had just built all these huge homes and we had to bid on the home. And I used to pray, I'm like, are we going to get the house? Are we going to get the house? My husband was like, yeah. So when I had the electricity to turn it on, they said, oh, we'll just send a bill. And so I'm thinking, yeah, okay, great. So when I got the bill, the deposit just to turn on the electric was like an enormous amount of money. I don't remember the dollar figure, but right away I called the electric company. And when they told me how much money it costs to provide electricity for a house that size, that's when I really began to think about the high cost of electricity. And so, we're already moved in. So what are we going to do? Right. So I'm like, okay, let's try to conserve energy. And I said, what if we like unplug one of the refrigerators, because like back in the day, everybody on this phone call probably did the same thing, had 2 and 3 refrigerators in their 3-car garages and a freezer. So I'm like, well, maybe I can unplug some of those. And they were just like, it's not really going to change the electric bill. So I was like stuck. All right. And then I'm thinking, but the electric bill seems like it's higher in the summer running the air conditioner. So it was an eye-opening experience to know sometimes shutting off something really doesn't change the bill a whole lot unless a person contacts the electric company in advance and gets placed on a certain type of schedule where a plan, an electric plan for lower usage, because like say they may be traveling for 2 or 3 months or something like that. They told me that would help lower the bill. And I'm like, okay, so I'm not going to be at this certain location. So put me on that plan. And then how much is the bill going to be? And it was still kind of high. So there are ways to uh, put that cushion in there. There are ways to lower the bill, but the bill is the bill. Thank you so much.
The bill is the bill, indeed. That being said, I take a round of the table. So, Dr. Crossland, don't go away just yet. You always, I always pick on you to give us your last word before you go away. So please take your turn now.
Sure. Thank you all so much, global listening and viewing audience. I apologize. I didn't turn my camera on, and that's because I paid a whole lot of money for my makeup artist to make up my face for the pageant to perform on stage, and I didn't want to take it off, but I know it doesn't look good. So, but I'm wearing it. So with that said, I want to thank Her Excellency Ambassador Dr. Pam Fomenon for hosting this platform and thinking about helping Africa and the global community. I want to thank Professor Niasan for his journalism expertise that he shares with us each Sunday, and also Prophetess Ambassador Lisa. I hope you feel better and continue to conserve electricity for everybody, because when you're conserving electricity at your place, you're conserving it for everyone else. Thank you all so much.
Thank you very much,
Ambassador. Please let me just welcome Dr. Ogoji. I was calling you today. I'm congested, but I'm happy to see you.
Dr. Ogoji, you're welcome to the show. I didn't notice you were there.
You're muted, Dr. Ogoji.
Yeah,
please
muted.
on mute.
Yes. We want to welcome you to the show so that you can share your last word and give your first word and your last word, because we're wrapping up already. Oh, Dr. Ogoji, it's not coming on.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, okay. I can hear you now. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. How's everybody doing? I miss you guys.
Well, members, some are sick, some are not, some are under the weather, others are just managing to
Ambassador Lisa are dealing with cold and cough, but I was planning on calling you today.
Yes.
Okay.
So we've been discussing steel, and today we're on transport and energy and electricity. So what have you to say about that as far as you are concerned?
Well, electricity is a big problem in Africa. We don't have enough. Either because, let me talk about Nigeria specifically. Nigeria has spent millions of dollars to bring electricity to the population, but the generator importers make sure that will never happen because they make money from selling generators. So the country in Nigeria the country is run on generators, unfortunately. The whole country be run on generators. Yet they want us to do things like electronic type of driver license, vehicle registration, electronic banking system. All those government offices are run on generators. But there is good news. In the past 5 years, the cost of solar energy has come down a lot. That many people afford solar energy now. So in the next 10 years or so, almost every household in Nigeria should be able to afford solar energy to provide their own electricity. Hopefully, the government will sit up at that time to provide enough power for industrialization. I've said it again and before, without electricity, you cannot grow. You can imagine the things that my local brothers, the Igbo boys, are doing in Nigeria on their backyard. They make fake drugs, fake alcohol, so many things at the backyard with generator and lights. So these people are quite talented. It's just they use their talent in the wrong way. If the environment become enabling where you can have steady power and available capital finances, people will open industries and produce these things in a well sanitized environment that can be consumed. So as we keep on attacking those people for doing all those fake things, fake drugs, fake medication, it's not good. But some of these people, I'm not trying to justify their behavior, don't get me wrong, but some of them cannot find capital or the energy to produce standardized industry or company to produce products. That's why in Nigeria, we import everything, including toothpick. If you import toothpick in your country, food, meat, chicken, you can never grow. Your money will worth less. So energy is a very good thing. Hopefully, the people at the helm of affairs can sit up and solve the energy problem once and for all. In the 70s, even the 80s, we have steady power in Nigeria. We have 4 or 5 tire companies in Nigeria. Like Dunlop Elite those days produce all the tires for all the cars in Nigeria. When the power becomes a problem, this company fold and move to Ghana or move other parts and move South Africa. So now people in Nigeria are using use expired tires or imported tires from China. So imagine we can put our own tires, our own toothpick, our own cup, our own, power is everything. So hopefully we'll get there.
Thank you very much. Ambassador Lisa?
Thank you, Nia-san. Good to see you, Dr. Goji. So my last word on the subject of energy, as Reverend Pam said, let's be mindful turning off the lights behind us. Treat your children to turn off the lights behind them. Be careful of how we use our electricity. As we said, as Dr. Warrior said, you conserving energy helps conserve energy for everyone. So even though it's a little dark outside, I still probably will not turn on. I guess I need to turn on the lights in about now. It's about 5:30. You know, of course, when wintertime comes and we fall back an hour, it gets dark early. Yeah, we fall back, it gets dark early. So be mindful of energy. Thank God that we live on a continent where our energy is stable, except for when we have storms and we have blackouts and things like that. Keep flashlights, keep fresh batteries in your flashlights for those times when there may be a blackout. As Dr. Gloria said, they may be fixing in one neighborhood and may not get to you for another month, depending on where you live. So make sure that you have what you need on hand. Flashlights in every room that you can easily reach down and grab hold. Fresh batteries, test them out periodically to make sure that you have fresh batteries. I have a magnetic flashlight in my kitchen on the back door. I test it periodically. I have handheld flashlights that change from strobe, and they turn into emergency flashing ones if I need it. I have one in my guest room by the sofa. I have one down in the living room by the sofa. So, but keep those things handy where you are going to be able to just get them, not have to run through the house in the dark. Try not to use candles because candles melt and then they can set things on fire unless you're going to use candles that have batteries. So just begin now to look around your home and see how you can conserve energy and make sure that if there is an energy loss in your home, that you have something that you can easily put your hand on that will not cause more damage like a fire in your home. That is my last word on the subject. Thank you, Nia-san. Back to you.
Thank you very much. Your Highness, are you able to give your last word?
Well, there's some background noise, but Africa has, most parts of Africa, except sub-Saharan Africa, have a lot of sunlight. We want to encourage solar energies. And I think one of the years we did this topic, we talked about lion lights, the young man that invented lion lights to keep the lions away from eating cattle. So you can look it up. I don't have time to share that. But thank you all so much. And we did not shorten the length of the show. I will see you guys next Sunday as we discuss transportation and telecommunication with our guest, Mr. Antoine Thompson. Thank you so much.
Thank you all very much. And please take care of that cold, each of you, and let's be able to see each other face-to-face next week. Well, not face-to-face, but online again next week as we continue the stew and we conclude the discussion of stew before we go to our health week the week after. Thank you.